Okay, seventh grade, I wanted to give you more information about the actual book cover. So if you haven't finished the book and you haven't done your work with theme, I would recommend doing that before you watch this, just because you'll be overwhelmed by all the information. So um, this was an actual assignment I had to do in one of my classes last semester. And what was cool is we got to take our knowledge of a whole book and then create something new with it. And I want you to have fun with this. Like you're creating your own book cover, and like some of you look at books and you're like, I would never pick that up because the cover sucks. And that's okay. So your job is to make a cover that is not going to suck. Okay. I want you to take your time with the mock-up and with your plan. So this was one I had to do, and I wrote out in pencil my first mock-up, and I have notes everywhere, and I kind of just talk about what I want to do, what colors I might want to use, the fonts. I then eventually we turn this into a digital one, and you guys aren't doing a digital one, but that's what I use that for. So this was my second mock-up. You guys only have to do one. This is the front, okay? And then this was the back. And so with my mock-up, I've got color, I know what images I want to use, things like that, and kind of have the idea of what I want it to look like. I've got my back cover plan. So remember, those are all the things that you need to have. So this video is going to be helpful so you know the requirements of your book cover. So the first thing is you need the title. Okay, if you do not have Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry somewhere on the cover, that's a problem. So you need the title, you need the author, that's number 2. You might want to write these down. So title, author, you need the back cover information. And so you're required to have some sort of blurb, okay? You guys have your example of the actual copies that we use in class. You can use that. You cannot copy it. Okay, you guys have read the book. You know what's happened. Okay, you can summarize, but don't spoil it in the back cover because that's not what we want. You can tell us about the setting, history, characters, give us a sense of the overall mood or genre, but that's what the back cover blurb is for. If you want to add a quote that you really liked, you could do that. But those are the big 3 besides your images and the actual cover. Okay, so that's the requirement for the cover. Write it down so you know what to do. I would recommend doing some research on book covers. Maybe look up old editions of Roll of Thunder to see what else people have decided to do for their book cover, because that will give you some ideas. I did research when I had to make mine, and there were a lot of different book covers out there. Some of them were good, some of them were not. Okay, color. You guys know what color can do. Like the title of this book is Red Rising, and obviously like this was done on purpose. Okay, so if you think back to what colors mean, if a different color means something different to you, that's okay. It's just important you tell me in the reflection piece what it means. So if you choose blue because you think blue is angry, when generally we think blue is to do with like sadness or peace, like that's okay. You can let blue be angry, but you need to write about that in your reflection and any color you use, okay? The lines that you use can communicate things, the shapes, the images you choose to use. Be careful with graphic images. I know that there's some violence and there's some hard stuff in the book, but sometimes we don't necessarily need to have that on the cover. We can let the book speak for itself. So I'm going to really have you be careful with those types of images. Yeah, so I wanted to show you some more examples just so you can get an idea of what's out there in the world. This one is the science fiction book. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. Okay, and so it's kind of a weird cover. Okay, the title's on there, the author's on there. This is one of the old Nancy Drew books. Okay, it's a very distinct color. You know when you see yellow like this, it's Nancy Drew. And then this was a newer version of it. Very much different. Okay, this one is very simple in color. Okay, this one's about King Arthur. But it's a more modern look. If you look at the colors, And the drawings, it's not very realistic. It's more cartoon type, and that's okay. This is one of my all-time favorite books, but you guys might look at it and they're like, that looks really boring. Okay, and the cover is going to communicate that kind of stuff. So I would pay attention to these things. 1, color. 2, the font that you choose to use. You guys know what spooky font and writing looks like, okay? Or you know what formal or what informal looks like. So experiment with how you write the blurb and how you write the title and the author. Size is another one. Do you want the title to be the biggest thing on the page? Do you want the author's name? You have to make those choices, okay? So I would say colors. I would say the font. Size is important, and then your images and symbols. Okay, what are you choosing to show and represent Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry? So that's just kind of a glimpse into what I'm looking for with that. This is a really helpful video to play again and pause or write it down so you don't have to as you work on the actual cover piece.